Hello. Today we'll be going over two muscular fitness assessments, one for strength and then one for power as well. Starting with strength, we're going to be looking at our 1 repetition maximum testing procedure. We're going to be using ACSM's Resources for the Personal Trainer 6th edition as our template, and we'll also be using the bench press exercise to demonstrate this movement. Now for our demonstration and client correction, we're just going to start by demonstrating the movement and explaining all the procedures for it using only the bar. And we'll give detail depending on the experience and fitness level of the client. And then from there, we'll allow them to practice the movement itself, and we can give any kind of correctional cues if needed. First warm-up trial, this is going to be around 5 to 10 repetitions, and it's going to correlate to around 40 to 60% of the client's estimated 1 rep max. After performing that set, they're going to rest for around a minute while performing active flexibility and recovery movements. The second warm-up trial is going to be 3 to 5 repetitions at 60 to 80% of the client's 1 rep max estimated. And then we're also going to give them 2 minutes of rest after the set while they perform active flexibility and recovery movements as well. For the third and final warm-up trial, this is going to be 2 to 3 repetitions with a load that is kind of around 90 to 95% of that estimated 1 rep max. From there, after performing the set, we're going to give them 2 to 4 minutes of recovery, while again performing some active and flexibility movements. When we move on to the first 1 rep max attempt, we're going to add 5 to 10 pounds for upper body exercise and 10 to 20 pounds for a lower body exercise. We will continue the test if a client fails on the first attempt or completes 2 repetitions, but we'll give them rest for around 2 to 4 minutes. The test will be deemed complete if the client succeeds on the first repetition, but fails on the second. Now, ideally, we do want to keep this test between 3 to 5 sets and attempts. Other than that, it kind of gets into areas of fatigue, and we also want to think about recording this guy and comparing it to other standards based on their sex and also their age. Hello. Today we will be testing Drew's 1 repetition max with the bench press exercise. I will be spotting Drew throughout this movement, which will be a measure of his upper body strength. Drew, I will be having you perform the bench press exercise. Now for this guy, we're going to first by getting down onto the bench, and I'll have you lay flat on the back. So we'll get in a supine position. From here, I want you to get the eyes underneath the bar, come up a little bit more. When you go for your grip, I would like you to try and get an even kind of distribution on both sides. We can kind of look at these little hairs right here for indents for your thumbs. From here, we'll engage the chest, engage the triceps, bring the shoulder blades down, and get the core and glutes engaged. From here, I'll extend the arms, lifting the bar up, bring that guy right over the chest. From there, I'll slowly lower down, keeping control, let the bar touch the chest, and then from there, I'll come back into full extension with the arms to get that guy back. Now that Drew has completed his stretching in between, we're going to be getting into the bench press exercise. So Drew, I will have you kind of lay down on your back. We're going to get right underneath that bar. Awesome. Now with this hand placement, you want to be a little more even on the bar, so let's get these guys nice and in range. Awesome. You want to make sure that the back is flat. We want to make sure that the shoulder blades are down. We want to make sure the glutes are touching on the flesh as well. From there, I'll have you engage the upper body. We'll press that bar up. Perfect. And slowly lower down just to touch in the chest. And from there, you'll drive right back up. Awesome.
The first warm-up trial involves the client performing 5 to 10 repetitions with a load that the client reports as easy, corresponding to 40 to 60% of the estimated 1 RM load. The client should now rest for 1 minute, during which the performance of active flexibility movements using the full range of motion are encouraged.
This will be Drew's second 1 rep max attempt. We have moved up an increment of 5 pounds on each side, so 10 pounds in total. So he's gone up from 275 to now 285.
After Drew has rested for at least 1 minute, the second warm-up trial will proceed. This involves the client performing 3 to 5 repetitions at a load corresponding to 60 to 80% of the estimated 1 RM load. The client will now rest for 2 minutes while performing the active recovery movement. After resting for 2 minutes, Drew will now perform the third and final warm-up trial. This involves the client performing 2 to 3 repetitions with a load corresponding to 90 to 95% of the estimated 1 RM. After resting for 2 to 4 minutes, Drew will now complete the first 1 RM test attempt. The first 1 RM test attempt is made after adding 5 to 10 pounds for upper body exercises or 10 to 20 pounds for lower body exercises. If the client succeeds in lifting the load once but fails on the second repetition, then the test will be completed. However, if the client either fails on the first attempt or is able to complete a second repetition, we will have to continue the test.
Sorry.
The test is completed.
Nice.
If another trial is warranted, the test will continue at either the next higher or lower load increment. Ideally, the test will be completed within 3 to 5 testing sets or attempts. We have to record the absolute 1 RM value as the highest load successfully lifted for 1 repetition. Relative strength can be calculated by dividing the absolute 1 RM value by the client's body mass, and this value can be compared to a norm for upper body strength.
Now moving on to our muscular fitness assessment that's going to test power, we're going to use a vertical jump testing procedure. This is going to be through the NSCA's Essential of Strength and Training and Conditioning, the 4th edition, and we're going to be using a commercial Vertec device to perform this movement. Now, first we have to start by adjusting the stack height. The vane should ideally be within the athlete's standing reach. That standing touch height is going to be determined by the highest vane they're able to reach when they're just kind of standing still. And then from there, the vane stack will be raised to a measured distance that is typically a rough estimate of the athlete's jump height. So if we know that someone has a 20-inch vertical, we may want to make that stack a little bit higher up. When performing the vertical jump test, there can't really be any lead or stutter steps. We have to just kind of perform that motion fluidly up from the ground. We'll start by kind of flexing in the knees and the hips while adding a little bit of a forward lean within the trunk while kind of bringing and swinging those arms back. While we're actually in the air, that dominant arm is going to reach for the vane while the other arm is going to move down by the body. And then from there, the athlete will try and touch the highest vane with that hand in the air. Now, when it comes to scoring a vertical jump test, the vertical jump height is the distance between the vane height touched while standing compared to the highest vane reached when jumping. 3 trials are granted, but the best score is the one that is kept. The score is then recorded to the nearest 0.5 inches or the nearest 1 centimeter. Now, we will be demonstrating how to perform both the 1 repetition maximum testing procedure using the bench press exercise and a vertical jump test.
The equation for fitness categories for upper body strength for men and women by age. The equation is bench press weight ratio equals weight pushed in pounds divided by body weight in pounds. The weight pushed in pounds is 315 divided by 250, which is the body weight, which equals 1.26, landing him in the 75th percentile for men in his age range. The tester adjusts the height of the stack of movable color-coded horizontal plastic vanes to be within the athlete's standing reach height. The highest vane that can be reached and pushed forward with the dominant hand, while the athletic stands flat-footed, determines the standing touch height.
We will now be conducting a vertical jump test. This test will determine Luis's lower body power.
Without a preparatory or stutter step, the athlete performs a counter movement by quickly flexing the knees and hips, moving the trunk forward and downward, and swinging the arms backwards. During the jump, the dominant arm reaches upward while the non-dominant arm moves downward relative to the body.
Now we will begin the vertical jump test. This will be Luis's first attempt.
Harder than you think, right? All right, so make sure they're nice and lined up. There you go.
After moving away the veins that Luis was able to clear, we will now conduct the second test attempt.
Yeah, clear.
Side one, I missed the red.
All right, this one's going a lot better.
Should I? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had
That
the
white one is like,
No, he moved all of them except the red. Pretty sure. Yeah. They all just spun back. Yeah, spun back.
And then square the red one.
it's literally just the last one.
Yeah.
That's actually not surprising for me. I'm not gonna-
After moving the veins that Luis was able to clear, we will now conduct the third test attempt.
At the highest point of the jump, the athlete taps the highest possible vein with the fingers of the dominant hand. The score is the vertical distance between the height of the highest vein tapped during the standing vertical reach and the vein tapped at the highest point of the jump. The best of 3 trials is recorded to the nearest 0.5 inches or 1 centimeter.
Today we'll be doing a vertical jump test. This will be to measure Carly's lower body power. After moving the veins that Carly has cleared, we will now enter her second attempt.
Oh, look at.
After taking her second rest for 2 to 3 minutes, we will now enter Carly's third attempt. According to the Essentials of Strength Training and Conditioning by the NSCA, or the National Strength and Conditioning Association, I fall into the category of a national male weightlifter with a 24-inch vertical compared to their average, and Carly with an average of 15-inch vertical falls into the college soccer woman category.
So how can we improve our scores?
If we're looking to improve our scores on the vertical jump test, we would want to be doing more plyometric training as well as some strength training within the lower extremities.
So how else could we test muscular strength?
We could also test muscular strength by having a client perform a one rep max on the leg press or also a deadlift.
And how else could we test muscular power?
We can also test muscular power by having a client perform a broad jump test.
Wait, what are we doing? So how else would be?
Arms backward. During the jump, the dominant arm reaches upward while the non-dominant arm moves downward. Moving the trunk forward and downward, swinging the arms backwards. During the jump, the dominant arm reaches upward while the non-dominant arm moves downward relative to the body.
Lower body power.
Without a
Chipotle is just
Yeah, I was gonna say Chipotle came in the room, dog. What?
Yeah, like
Chipotle is my life.